What's up, dudes? So we're on the cusp of an absolute gigantic fighting game revolution. Mortal Kombat 1 teaser just came out, and with that I feel like there's a lot of hopes. The teaser didn't do as much as I wanted it to personally, because I'm really hankering for gameplay stuff, and I wanted to reach out to somebody that is essentially a part of my YouTube brethren that has been making fighting game content forever and has put a ridiculous amount of work into NetherRealm games, and is probably, I think, if not the biggest NRS content creator, one of the biggest fighting game channels out there. Super, how are you doing, dude?
What's up, Max? Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Super, and I feel honored to be on Max's channel, finally. I've always wanted to do a collab video with him, and this is the perfect time with Mortal Kombat 1 approaching in only 4 months. 4 months away.
Yeah, that's weird, right? It's kind of crazy that we are so, like, such a short time frame. And the same thing happened, of course, we know, because we've been covering this stuff with MK11.
Yes, sir.
And that turnaround was wild. So I think the big thing that I wanted to chat about is the teaser came out, and a lot of us were hoping from the teaser that we'd get like an MKX/MK11 situation.
Yeah.
And we'd know a bit more about like gameplay stuff, but it was super story focused. And
it was.
It puts us in this moment now where we just have to like wish for things outside of things like cameo fighters, which inherently sound pretty interesting. About the cameo fighters front, what has you the most excited about that part of MK1?
The cameo fighters, I feel, is going to bring an interesting dynamic to the game that we haven't seen with a core gameplay with NetherRealm Studios before, because they have this formula that works for them. Going back from MK9, MKX, MK11, even the Injustice games, excluding a couple features like the run mechanic and the different way the dashes work, their gameplay most of the time is, pretty straightforward. You know that it's a NetherRealm Studios game, so including something like cameo fighters that's completely different to add to not only help you out with your offensive gameplay combo extensions, but also for the defensive players, sort of having these assists that kind of keep you away and help you keep you away. It's going to add another like dimension to the gameplay, like the mind games are going to change up, because you're going to have to counter someone else's cameo fighter, and then if you counter their cameo fighters, they might switch it up. Yeah, people might just have their main, like literally they could just focus on one character to learn, and then depending on how cameo fighters are balanced and how they change,
yeah,
that's all they could change up their gameplay depending on matchups. So it's really interesting.
You're getting to the stuff that I was kind of thinking about, where cameo fighters are obviously going to be used for like combo extensions. That's like a given, and you kind of see that in the stuff that we were checking out in Aftermath, where you can literally use items to bring out cameo characters. Like, no kidding.
That's exactly how I think it's going to work.
Yeah, and I'm hoping like that stuff is going to function that way and have those elements, but I'm hoping there's like going to be more, right? I'm hoping like how dynamic they are. Are they going to be used for breakers? Are they going to be used offensively and defensively? Like all those kind of things that aren't just combo extensions, because that's the most like, yeah, of course we're going to get bigger combos. Yeah. Was that one of the bigger concerns, I think, in general, was the overall, like, because they eventually added a lot more combos to MK11, right? Is that one of the things that you want to see change the most, or is it other stuff from MK11 to MK1 that you really want to see different?
I think compared to MK11, I really want it to be focused more on creativity, and creativity could come in different ways. It doesn't only have to be combo extensions. It could be something like mix-ups, setups, different ways to play the game other than just the basic bread and butter down one poke into grab, down one poke into pressure, like
there's a lot
of the Mortal Kombat 11 had. And that could get pretty boring really quickly, and I find it kind of funny that you and I attended the premiere event, like the community reveal event, and we had time with the game. And I love Mortal Kombat 11. Don't take anything as far as like I'm bad talking the game, but I remember I had an hour to record a gameplay, and I was like the last person, so they gave me a little bit extra time. But after an hour, I was like, I think I'm done, recording my gameplay. And keep in mind,
I didn't want to play anymore. I think I'm good.
This is the first time that we got our hands on a new Mortal Kombat game. I'm here crying in the Mortal Kombat 11 reveal, even back then, because I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And after like an hour, I was like, oh, okay, I think I got my footage. I think I'll
Yeah, and that first impression, it was pretty clear that like I have no doubt this is going to be a great game, and I think MK11 is a fantastic game, and they eventually added a lot more stuff even from that first impression, like a lot more combos. Remember when dashing was awful?
Oh
my
God,
you couldn't even forward dash, dude. So a lot of that stuff did.
On quicksand, yeah.
They changed it. It's like, okay, so they clearly understood that they need to push things in certain directions. But overall, I felt like you and me sort of just meshed a bit better with classic run-associated Mortal Kombats, if not maybe Mortal Kombat 9, because these games are kind of nutty. They are kind of like crazy and not as much... It isn't as much the combos, because that is easily one of the most forefront things that you go to. The combos are just ridiculously fun. It's also like the mobility and the movement. And I think for me, if there's one thing I'm really hoping outside of the cameo stuff that MK1 does, I'm hoping for something interesting in movement, because MK11 had some interesting run dash canceling stuff, right? Where you had to like block, cancel, and then make your run like MK9. Yeah. But I'm just hoping they inherently put something in there, and it doesn't need to be a cook it and run. Something at least sort of like interesting movement and mobility wise that would differentiate it from previous Mortal Kombats.
Yeah, I get you. So you're saying it doesn't need to be like, someone on crack just like running across the screen in about 2 seconds. I feel like Mortal Kombat 9 really opened your eyes to sort of the dash mechanics that game had compared to Mortal Kombat 11. Because I know you played it in the past, but I've seen some of your videos recently where you actually sat down and tried to learn it properly. And you had so much fun with that style of dash compared to something like Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, and I think the biggest reason is that it was fast. Like even forward dashing and back dashing without doing the appropriate like block canceling and stuff was really quick. And I'm like, oh, there's a level of complexity to this that I really like. And I do absolutely agree with you. I mean, I'm sure you've been watching a couple of my videos, and we have a similar take, where the creativity in a lot of fighting games over the past like few years, or especially going back to like the mid 2010s, started to go away, like after the Street Fighter V era. And it was like, oh man, I wish that we would get some individuality, like a player to player individuality. Yeah. That's the stuff that I'm really hoping shows up in MK1. I keep saying MK12, but it ain't MK12 anymore. It's MK1.
It's not MK12, yeah, surprisingly, going back to the start. But you're definitely right. I think even developers started realizing that, all right, we kind of simplified our games a little bit too much, because even with Street Fighter V, that game kind of got real crazy towards the end, where I was like very surprised at how much things you could do with each individual character. I really hope that NetherRealm took our feedback into consideration with MK11, and push it forward a little bit to have some more creativity with the fighting, because honestly, as beautiful as the game looks, as cool as the story could be, as crazy and gory as the fatalities are, the gameplay is going to make or break the game. So as long as the gameplay is there, I mean, you and I are big fans of MVCI, and that game looked like what it looked like, but the actual gameplay, but the actual gameplay was insane, and anyone could go back and have fun playing that game. So I really hope that they take our feedback from 11 into consideration and give us something that's new and refreshing.
And especially the comparison, I use this a bit now when trying to describe to people, where it's like a fighting game will come out and us as content creators will check it out just because people want to see your impressions of a game, much less do I want to get people to play any fighting game. Like I don't really care which one you play. Just play something, because it gives you the bridge to play others, right? It's like it's an addiction at that point. You want to try other stuff.
Yeah.
But what I personally want is I want fighting games that I'm going to play for the next 10 years, maybe 20 years. I want a game that is like, oh, we can always go back and play, for example, MKX.
MKX.
There is always room.
That game to this day, yeah.
There's always room for MKX, and some nutty thing. I'll come back and have to relearn a combo, and I'm like, God damn, this is so much fun. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm kind of hoping. And just for me, like personally, as I was like a huge MKX guy, right? Injustice 2 and MK11, I actively covered the games and was waiting for things that to kind of fall in love with gameplay wise, and it just never really happened. So that's kind of my biggest personal hope, is that I want NRS to make a game that makes me just absolutely fall in love with it, between its roster, its characters, either its mechanics. And usually, like, in our situation, we'll get those games every once in a while where it's like, even like a Dragon Ball Fighter situation where it's like, damn, dude, everything about this is so sick. And the way you play it and like all this stuff is so cool. And hopefully there's not enough bad caveats like netcode and things like that to really get in the way. The other thing I wanted to mention from you are kind of like in the line of characters. So if there's like one cameo character, a character that you think would fit perfectly in a cameo position, and a character that would be like a great mainline character, non-cameo, who would you probably choose?
Well, I'm gonna keep it biased here, and I'm gonna keep
That's
it
good.
with ninjas, because you and I are similar in many ways in the Mortal Kombat universe, because we love the ninjas, we love the robots, and if we had a fighting game with just all the ninjas and all the robots, I think you and I would be very, very happy. So the main character that I'm looking at to be in the game is Ermac, because Ermac is just one of the coolest looking Mortal Kombat characters of all time. He has so many ways to play his fighting style. Mortal Kombat X, he had 3 variations that were all pretty unique. Mystic Ermac was a little bit boring, but you had the flight mechanic with Spectral Ermac, where you could just do air combos and pressure people into the dust in the corner. You pretty much made them pay rent because they just stayed there. They weren't leaving unless they meter burn an attack to get you out of the corner, and you could read that, counter it. And then you had Master of Souls, which was Meterless Vortex, which is something that, interestingly enough, Ed Boon had brought up.
Yeah.
Tweet from before.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, where he like specifically addressed Meterless Vortex, which MKX had a lot of.
And he mentioned it multiple times. I think it was at least 2 tweets where he said Meterless Vortex, because someone asked him about a character in MKX, and they said Meterless Vortex. So
yeah, I'm
assuming that they're going to bring a lot of that back that was in Mortal Kombat X. Maybe not the 50/50s. Like, this is something that people don't understand when I keep telling them, like, makes me angry, because they're like, oh, you love Mortal Kombat X so much because you could open people up in an easy way with 50/50s, overhead, lows. I'm like, no, the reason I like Mortal Kombat X so much is because you have many ways that you could play offense. Not only that, but the game just feels fast. You feel like you're playing and thinking at like an ultra supersonic speed compared to something like Mortal Kombat 11. Again, I'm not trashing Mortal Kombat. I love the game, but
to interject and to add to that, and I realize as I get older and I start like getting a little introspective and understanding what I like about certain fighting games, I figured out that I like the fighting games that make you make a lot of decisions, like a lot of rapid fire decisions really fast, and the speed of the game usually complements that. Where if the game's faster, there's naturally a decision making process that goes a bit quicker along with it. And MKX requires you to kind of like make the most split-second decisions of any Mortal Kombat game out there.
Sometimes you don't even think about it either. You just, your fingers, so they just
you're on like a flow state, like a Tetris effect thing. Yeah,
you got the Ultra Instinct action where you're not thinking about what you're gonna do. Your fingers just do it, and then at the end of the game, you're like, oh, I actually did that. You know, that actually worked out. Yeah, I'm like, I'm a genius. You know, you can't feed your ego that way. But no, I totally understand what you're saying, because you sometimes you don't even have time to think about it. You just react. Yeah, and that's the most fun part about it. Ermac is the main character that I want on the base roster. Cameo character, like we were talking, I literally just saw your video with the Yo Video Games crew talking about the teaser and the fact that it wasn't really a trailer, it was a teaser.
Yeah.
And then you guys mentioned Motaro as a cameo character, because I really don't think that they could, well, I don't want to say that because, you know, NetherRealm, they're NetherRealm Studios, you know, they could work magic, but it would be really hard to make a character like Motaro fit with being a core character.
For sure.
I think Motaro would be a perfect cameo character.
Yeah, and it's just something bizarre and crazy and monster-like, because people started complaining we'd lose a lot of the monsters in Mortal Kombat, which was a big part of like the older games. Yeah. And that's a good spot. You don't have to worry about animating their 4 legs or whatever the hell. Just a couple of things, you know. I'm with you on the ninjas, right? It's almost like You know, people complain about Sub-Zero and Scorpion everywhere when a Mortal Kombat comes out. People complain about a Ryu or a Ken all the way when a Street Fighter comes out. And it's like, yeah, because like Shotos and Ninjas are the games.
Coolest fucking characters.
That's like why people play them. So yeah, I think if I had to boil it down to one, it would be Smoke. And
Smoke. Human or robot? Human.
You know what? I'll take either one. I feel like I'm down with either one, but I would be more curious of a human Smoke to see what the modern day take of it would be after MK9. And especially the other ninjas, dude. Like after seeing Ermac land on a spike with his really cool costume.
Oh my god.
In MK11, and also watching MK9 Ermac have one of the dopest alternate costumes I have ever seen.
Sith Lord Ermac.
Dude, I hope we get more stuff like that. I hope we get, you know, new takes on the reptile. And if the game immediately launches with a roster of like most of the playable ninjas right at the start, I think it's a very good standard to sort of set, and then they permeate the roster with a bunch of like other characters that, you know, combat kids and whatnot.
So let me ask you this, Max, because a lot of we got a taste of what the designs are going to look like for specific ninjas. So what do you think about them going back to a more simplistic, classic look compared to Mortal Kombat 11, which had very unique looking ninja costumes, you know, with armor looking ninjas instead of more traditional ninjas, which I personally like a lot more.
Yeah, they're starting to go kind of the Injustice 2 route of character designs, and I think their base character designs are pretty cool looking in MK11, but those alternate costumes and everything, I think I'm done with the gear grind. So them dedicating a little bit of effort into reevaluating the character designs. I wish they went a bit more ham in the newness of them, make them like be genuinely different, because they really do feel like we're going back to a basic standard, right? We are, and to be honest, like I looked at Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and outside of their, you know, elemental accoutrements and stuff, yellow guy and blue guy. And I was like, wow, really? They actually do kind of look like old school style. Like they really don't.
Back to the palette swap.
Yeah, no tiny hat, you know, nothing, none of that kind of stuff. So I'm really fascinated, and it sort of got me worried. I was like, they put on the cameo fighters thing where it's like you see Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and I'm like, uh-oh, does that mean one of these guys is going to be a cameo fighter? Like, uh-oh, that'll be very weird if that's the case and not like a main roster character. I feel like I'm kind of torn on it right now, where I need to see them doing cool shit. And ultimately, like, the teaser doesn't provide that. They're all walking around and looking at each other and stuff. And I'm like, I just want to see these characters do really sick stuff. And, you know, that's where we just got to eventually wait for that the gameplay trailer.
That was something that I found really strange, because going back to previous Mortal Kombat teasers, it's always a little preview of what the actual gameplay is going to look like. So when there was literally no gameplay or no cinematic CGI characters,
no hint of gameplay.
That definitely surprised me. But I mean, I was too excited because you already know, because you mentioned this in the past, we have been starving for anything Mortal Kombat. So I threw everything out the window when it came to the reveal, and I just like, you know, just enjoyed it because we finally have something. But I mean, that's the exciting thing. This is just the beginning. So I'm just looking forward to see the actual gameplay and have them ramp up with the promotion and everything, because we're so close.
Yeah, we're close, and this is a lot of like hopes and wishes and, you know, minor quirks. I feel like I had just been teased too much, where it's like, bruh, come on, like this is like the third teaser technically.
They've been tickling our balls for like a month, pretty much. And
historically, yeah, Mortal Kombat has released CG teasers that do show you how the games play. Like, here's the character using an interactable. Here's the character doing, you know, an X-ray style thing. Here's a crushing blow. Like, you're like, oh, okay, so this is actually how the game plays. And this was very different. So at this point, this is why I wanted to call you. We're kind of starving for just an iota of how these games are going to play and function. And for us that really are hoping that this is going to turn into a game that we're going to want to play, you know, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, that all of these gameplay things kind of hit. But I think, like we were mentioning and you were mentioning, there's a good precedent, because already the stuff that they're describing with cameos already sounds maybe kind of nutty, where it's like,
it does.
maybe we're going to get some of that crazy MK11 stuff, you know?
Yeah, it definitely sounds outside their comfort zone with NetherRealm Studios because they are taking a big chance on this. Because if they release back-to-back Mortal Kombat games, then it's pretty clear that that's the direction that they want to go towards in the future. And I'm sure that they're going to support this game way longer than MK11. And MK11 was already the longest supported game.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this game is just going to be their main game for the next 5 years, because we have been spoiled in having a new game every 2 years, and I think that's why we're so hostile about it.
Yeah.
Because we've been spoiled, and compared to a Tekken, a Street Fighter, these games last for a long time compared to what we've been used to. But I think this game, I hope they just put everything they have creativity wise, and the team comes out with something that we can play 10 years down the road and say, God damn, this game is so sick, like what we have with Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, thank you, Super. I don't want to take up too much of your time. If any of you guys want to check out Super's videos, he's been making NRS content for a ridiculously long period of time. Super, where's the best place people can check out your stuff?
So I pretty much only do YouTube. I keep it simple. You can find me at youtube.com/superman049 altogether, or you could just type in like Mortal Kombat Super, and then I'll come out at the top.
Dope. And we'll definitely get together again, either to play MKX or to jump on to MK1 beta whenever that comes out. That should be a lot of fun. Thanks again, man.
I'll be happy to play Mortal Kombat X with you anytime.
Hell yes. Hell yes. I'll get messed up by your Predator combos. That'll be good.